This is Serial Archive. Some files were never meant to be reopened. The scariest criminals don't look dangerous. They look safe. When people imagine a monster, they picture chaos, anger, noise, someone out of control. But real predators are often calm. They smile when they speak. They wait. And while everyone is watching for something obvious, they pass straight through. This is the story of how normality becomes a weapon. In the late 1970s and 1980s, Jeffrey Dahmer didn't stand out. He wasn't loud or aggressive. He wasn't charismatic or intimidating. People described him as awkward, quiet, uncomfortable to be around, but not dangerous. And that distinction mattered, because our brains don't judge danger logically. We judge it emotionally. Politeness lowers suspicion. Calm voices disarm fear. Familiar behavior shuts down internal alarms. Dahmer understood this instinctively. He didn't chase victims or create scenes. He invited people in, sometimes with money, sometimes with alcohol, sometimes with nothing more than conversation. His first known victim, Stephen Hicks, never experienced a moment that felt threatening. Nothing escalated suddenly. Nothing felt chaotic. That's the trap. Dahmer held steady jobs, paid rent, and followed routines. He lived in apartment buildings where people noticed things over time, strange smells that lingered. Late-night noises, drills, heavy objects being moved at odd hours. Complaints were made, but complaints require confrontation. And confrontation feels socially uncomfortable, especially when the person involved doesn't look like a threat. So concern softened. Something's wrong became maybe it's nothing. Even when police encountered Dahmer directly, the disguise held. In one of the most disturbing moments, a victim escaped his apartment, tingered, confused, barely able to speak. When officers arrived, Dahmer didn't panic. He didn't run or argue. He spoke calmly, explained carefully, and cooperated. The victim was returned to him, not because there was no evidence, but because acting felt awkward. This is authority bias. Once someone doesn't fit the mental image of a criminal, every red flag gets reinterpreted. Nervousness becomes social anxiety. Inconsistencies become misunderstandings. Disturbing details become private matters. Predators rely on that hesitation. Each time Dahmer avoided scrutiny, the lesson was reinforced. Stay calm, stay polite, don't look dangerous. With every close call, his confidence grew. Psychologists describe this process as moral disengagement through normalization. When nothing happens after wrongdoing, the brain adapts. If you aren't stopped, the behavior begins to feel less wrong. By the time Dahmer was finally caught in 1991, 17 young men had been killed. Not because no one noticed, but because everyone waited for danger to look dangerous. What ended it wasn't a dramatic chase or brilliant detective work. It was friction. Someone didn't disengage, didn't accept the easy explanation, didn't look away. Once the illusion cracked, everything collapsed quickly. The public reaction followed a familiar pattern: shock, disbelief, anger. How could this go on for so long? How did no one stop it? But the most unsettling realization came later. People had noticed. They just didn't act. This isn't only a story about Jeffrey Dahmer. It's about a blind spot we all share. We're trained to fear chaos, to react to noise and aggression, but danger often arrives quietly, smiling, explaining, waiting to be waved through. And the question isn't whether this can happen again. It's whether we'll recognize it before it does. Some stories end. These don't.